We're back at 7:44 this morning. Thanks so much for staying with us. In a few days, hundreds of Georgia's school counselors will pour into Macon with hoping to improve students' experiences and achievements. I have the details. Thanks for staying with us. Macon is the host city for the annual Georgia School Counselors Association Conference. There's a lot for the state school counselors to talk about this year, so joining us to preview a little bit of that discussion is Joycelyn White, the host city chair. So thank you so much for joining us in studio this morning.
Thank you.
So go ahead and talk to us a little bit about the Georgia School Counselors Association's annual conference.
Absolutely. So Georgia School Counselor Association is an association for school counselors all across the state of Georgia. They can be public school counselors, private school counselors, charter school counselors. They can even be graduate students and be a member. So every year we hold an annual conference to talk about new advancements in the career field, to talk about advocacy, do some professional development, but really build community with those who are alongside with the school counseling mission.
Yeah, very nice. I know that's very beneficial for the teachers and the counselors there. You know, talk a little bit about the professional development aspect that you guys kind of go through with this conference.
Yeah, for sure. So we have people, school counselors, counselor professors and educators, retired school counselors, and they put in to actually present at the conference. So it's a big thing. Everybody wants to be a presenter to talk about new updates and things that they have found. So when people come to the Georgia School Counselor Association Conference, they go to different sessions. We have breakout sessions and then like classroom and work sessions. And so they get an agenda and they get to decide in areas in which they need help. So if it's advocacy, help with academics and organizational skills for kids, if it's something about wanting to include their students, if they have like different cultural backgrounds, it's something for everyone. And even new counselors that feel like they may need a little bit more help because grad school probably didn't prepare them for on-the-job school counseling.
Yeah, obviously schooling is great, but there's nothing like that hands-on experience.
Right.
So I totally understand how this can be beneficial for them. Obviously, since this is statewide, you guys do talk about some of the legislative policies, especially here. A big topic of discussion has been truancy. Talk about how you guys are kind of working to address that this year.
Absolutely, absolutely. We advocate a lot, and we have lobbyers, we have all the things. But when it comes to attendance, that is an issue across the state of Georgia. When COVID happened, there was a seat time policy that was in place for the state, and it was removed because it was kind of a new thing. Nobody knew how to navigate the pandemic, and so they took it out because the seat time requirement says that a student has to spend X amount of hours in a class in order to be promoted from that class. And so when there is a seat time requirement in place, even if a kid is passing the class, if they haven't been attending, they still fail that class. And so the seat time requirement was taken out. Well, with the seat time requirement still being out and we're past COVID, students are staying home or wherever they're going, but they're not coming to school. And so if a kid is under the age of 16, they are required to be in school. They miss 10 or more days, they're considered to be truant, and so then they have to go to truancy court, and because they're under 16, their guardian is responsible for them, and they receive a ton of consequences. What we're trying to do is figure out what we can do at the school-wide level to make sure that students want to come to school. We are building relationships with students and parents and community stakeholders so that we can eliminate any barriers that we may not be aware of as to why they're not coming, and so that we can communicate with parents that it doesn't have to go to truancy court. Communicate with us. We're very understanding. We just need documentation. We have a literacy issue all across the state, literacy issue, and we have a math fluency issue. And so when kids miss school, they're not able to gain these skills, and it's affecting them being college and or career ready.
Yeah, I know you mentioned the literacy policy. Are there any other kind of policies right now that are on the radar among counselors this year?
Absolutely. There is a House bill that keeps coming up onto the floor, and it's trying to replace school counselors with chaplains. And so we are definitely advocating against that because we are well-trained individuals. We have to have a master's degree to be a school counselor. We have to do 3,000 internship hours for hands-on experience, and we know all about child development development, psychology, and we work really closely with social workers to pull in the community. And so while chaplains are really great, they're just not specifically trained in that area. And so we're trying to stay in the school so that we can continue to help and support our babies.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I know our education reporter will definitely be following along to see what developments come of that. You know, talk a little bit about some of the speakers that'll be at this year's conference and why that aspect of hearing their motivational speeches are kind of impactful.
Absolutely. So education is very difficult. This is hard work, but it's really hard work, and that can be very exhausting and taxing, right? And so we want for our educators, specifically school counselors, to stay in the fight, even if it feels like we're mopping the ocean some days. And so one of our guest speakers is Dr. Lisa Hinkleman. She's out of Ohio, and she actually has a program called Ruling Our Experiences. And so it's based off of some research that she did called the Girls Index. And basically it's about how girl students recognize themselves as leaders and how society recognizes them, about how oftentimes they feel like they have to kind of minimize themselves to not be considered bossy or a takeover or sassy, and so it undermines their potential and their goal. So with Ruling Our Experiences, she has these groups called ROCKS groups, and they're across all 50 states now. Actually, Weaver Middle School, where I work, is the first school in Bibb County to have a ROCKS girls group. And so it's 20-week courses, and they talk about leadership, advocacy, healthy peer relationships, and social media, and all the things. So she is coming to speak with the school counselors about that aspect, but also encouraging us as a previous school counselor to stay in the fight and do the work.
Yeah, very interesting. I wish I was a counselor at this point, because I'm like, this is such good information that I wish that I could sit in on. Lastly, before we let you go, obviously some people come here and have the opportunity to showcase service projects. Can you kind of talk about what that'll look like this year and the importance of that?
Absolutely. So every year, Georgia School Counselor Association picks an organization to donate resources, money, supplies, whatever they need to continue to help our babies. This year we chose Loop It Up, which is a nonprofit out of Savannah. It's in collaboration with Savannah College of Art and Design. But what they do is they expose kids to other creative outlets other than just singing, theater, drawing, and things like that. They teach kids how to knit and how to crochet as a creative outlet, but also as a coping and regulatory mechanism. So we are coming together with financial donations, supplies, and everything else, because Loop It Up teachers go to schools and they provide these services after school.
Well, thank you so much for sitting in studio with us this morning and sharing all of this good information. We're going to pop up some of that information on the screen right there. That is the date set for the conference this year. It's happening November 12th through the 14th over at the Macon Marriott City Center. It'll be over on Coliseum Drive. Of course, you can also visit that website and register right there. Go to gaschoolcounselor.org. It's also on your screen. Make sure you stay with us in our 8 o'clock hour. We're going to talk about how your school counselors are your school resources.